It is absolutely crazy to think that XM Studios is actually shipping product. Hey, it's Chris the Batman Statue Collector. Welcome back once again to Brotherhood of the Bat Collectibles. And today on the channel, I had a collector that reached out to me. His name is Daniel. And he said, hey, Chris, I just got in my Galvatron. After waiting years and years, he finally got an XM Studios piece. Now, we have seen some like Robin Kings out there in the wild. We've seen some Joker, of course, that goes with the White Knight Batman. But they're actually starting to ship product. And that's exciting for a lot of collectors that have actually been loyal enough to stick with XM Studios and not cancel. And Daniel was one of these people that didn't cancel. He has his in hand, and he wants me to not only share his footage, but also share his thoughts as well as my own on this piece from XM. And so without further ado, guys, let's review an XM Studios piece after years and years. Let's do it. Whoops, pardon the interruption, but I want to remind everybody before we get going that tonight is Rogues Gallery Live, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be a blast. Join us on YouTube, Rogues Gallery Live. All right, guys, so let's just get right into this. And again, this is the Transformers Galvatron. It is 1/10 scale, and it is a limited edition statue, basically. It was estimated to arrive third quarter of 2025, but actually was, meant to arrive years and years ago. But this is a really cool piece, and it is very impressive. And of course, Daniel has some things to say about it. And the first big thing that he had to say was the paint was incredible. Absolutely incredible paint applications, as XM Studios does. If you've ever owned an XM Studios piece, you know exactly what we're talking about here. And of course, I'm just going off of what I'm seeing, but I definitely take Daniel's word for it, because he has it in person, and you can see in the video that everything looks very crisp and clean. You do have a couple different swap outs. This gun that he has the ability to mount to his arm, and we will see that on the statue here momentarily. But it's very cool looking, and I really like what they've done with it. Now, Daniel's biggest nitpick of the piece is that it doesn't have any instruction video. He was very, very frustrated with this. He said it took him over an hour to put this together. And if you ever watched the live unboxing of Dan and I doing the Bat Bike, very similar. I think that took us maybe 2 hours to put the Bat Bike together. So just having some instructions, maybe a how-to video on something like this would be nice, especially for collectors that had to wait so freaking long. This might have been the least throwing the collector a bone on how to put it together. So XM, maybe take note, and maybe next time put a little video together, okay? This thing retails, like I'm on the Big Bad Toy Store website. A lot of places this was sold out, but this is $2,499.99. So basically, $2,500 for this. So this is a beast at 1/10 scale. It is a large, sizable piece. And, you have to really, especially after waiting that long, was it worth it to you? Again, I know Daniel really likes his. The base is very cool. Obviously, it's got a lot of the, Transformer-esque base to it. It actually kind of reminds me of what they did with the DC pieces that I wasn't really all that keen on, where they were kind of in space with Batman and Superman. Kind of reminds me of the same aesthetic, which I think works really great here on a Transformers piece, but maybe not so much on a DC piece. But you can see the colors of purple and also the red colors, and I don't know if it's the video itself, but like I'm looking at like promotional photos, and it seemed like some of the areas like the red and things were a little bit more metallic looking, as were maybe some of the purple areas. And so again, I'm not seeing this in person, but again, I'm going to take his word for it that he really likes the paint applications. But to me, it looks maybe a little bit dull in a couple of different places. So again, that's just my opinion watching the video, just like you guys are. Obviously, this is one of the weapons here where you have the open cannon, which looks really cool. You can also see the glowing eyes, which looks great. Really like what they did with this one. This was a limited edition of 199 pieces on this one, and it is based on the 1986 movie, The Transformers, the movie, which was a phenomenal movie. I absolutely loved it whenever I was a kid. Of course, it is made of polystone, and you do have the Galvatron statue, the alternate right arm, the alternate left arm, the matrix of leadership, which you can see around his neck there, and then the Cybertronian laser tank. So there are some different options here. I really like the combination of red and purple. I always think that looks so good, especially whenever you put it on a statue. I think, obviously anytime you have purple, it stands out because it's different. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the Joker, and so I love purple in my collection, but maybe it's not quite as common on the Transformer pieces. So I really appreciate that a lot, and I think it looks really cool. And again, these things are so intricate. If you have an XM piece or a Prime 1 piece that are these Transformers, even PCS has some Transformer pieces as well that looks really, really cool in my opinion. But the level of detail that goes into these and the amount of time it would take to paint something like this, I can't even imagine. And again, knowing that XM is still, even though there's been this giant delay and there's been a lot of negativity toward XM, and a lot of mistrust at this point, it's great to see that the paint is well received here. You know what I mean? That to me is very important. I think that as long as they continue to do a good job and they continue to put the effort in, I think that they are going to eventually win some people back. But again, that might take a little bit of time, which stinks, One other thing that he said about this particular piece, the way he is posed, he said that this is really like a top shelf piece. He said it doesn't necessarily really work for him on a lower shelf. And so that's something that you just have to consider, okay? So I did want to make sure I noted that because he really wanted to stress that. Here's the swap out cannon. I really like the way this looks. Obviously, the other one's a little bit more dynamic. This one's more of like a defensive pose. So I do like that you can kind of get a completely different feel for the statue in that way. Obviously, he's holding the cannon a little bit different, whereas before it was, kind of up, and now it's kind of down. So it's just kind of a cool look. I think it's personally cool. I like the way that they did that. And obviously, a different swap out too, where he is a little bit more on the defensive, getting ready to strike maybe, whereas the other one, he had that closed fist. So I mean, look at that. That looks great to me. I love the sculpt here. And it definitely reminds me of my childhood come to life, which is very cool. Again, the price point is going to be very subjective for a quarter scale. It's not a quarter scale, sorry. It's basically kind of like quarter scale size, but it's a 1/10 scale, so we have to keep saying that it is 1/10 scale, so sorry about that. So there you guys have it. Again, I want to thank Daniel. Please hit the like button, guys, to thank him for sending in the footage. And if you ever want to review something on the channel, especially things that I wouldn't normally do here on the channel, please hit me up at thebatmanstatuecollector@gmail.com. I would love to feature your content and have you part of this incredible community. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for that. So anyway, I think it looks cool. I think the paint applications look great. Obviously, his biggest nitpick was obviously the assembly video issue. And then, of course, you have to have them kind of up high. We have, statues in the collection that we always have to kind of figure out, okay, is this a bottom shelfer? Is this going to be a top shelfer only? Collector problems, right? So anyway, I think it looks cool. And again, I want to thank Daniel so very much for sending in the footage. That's so cool. And again, I like doing these showcase reviews with you guys, especially to feature things on the channel that I don't normally get to feature. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. And also, again, let me know in the comments. We talked about it earlier this week about XM Studios. Do you trust them? Is this a good sign that they're actually shipping product? It's pretty great. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Thanks again, and I'll see you tonight for Rogues Gallery Live. Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching today, and if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button right here on the screen and check out these two awesome videos. I think you're going to love them. And also please join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I would love to have you join in all the fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching. See you in the Batcave.